Happy Wednesday. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Today, folks, we're going to have with us Dr. Tania Glenn of Tania Glenn and Associates. She specializes in the treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder, particularly among first responders, veterans, aviation professionals. She's got over 3 decades of experience. She'll talk about her affiliation with the Warrior Shield Foundation and the Corporal Chad O Foundation. It is Warrior Shield Wednesday. So she is on to discuss all of that. Stay tuned. At the end of the show, we got a top five bucket list today, Jim. This should be interesting. Should be very different. We should probably most likely not have the same things because my top five's never going to involve reading.
I have going on a trip to Greece with you.
Oh, that would be on your top five. I'm sure it would. Going anywhere with me, right? Jim, so that and so much more on another episode of what?
Live from the Patriots Prayer Network studios.
Yes, sir.
2 guys, 1 coup.
Be right back.
If that song doesn't wake you up in the morning, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what does either. That song should get you going in the morning, as it always will. Jim, real quick, I'm going to go to a Warrior Shield ad, then we'll bring up Tania. Stay tuned. Be right back.
Perfect timing.
The Warrior Shield Foundation is here to unite, honor, and provide support for veterans, first responders, and Gold Star family members. The foundation will enable them to find the help they need through direct assistance or connecting them by our shared vision network. Using data-driven models, we provide solutions that make a long-lasting difference. We, along with our partners, are dedicated to bringing together like-minded groups and individuals who have committed to making a difference in the lives of our hard-working, everyday heroes. We bridge the gap by connecting warriors or their families with the assistance they deserve and require, such as service dogs, wheelchairs, counseling, scholarships, and team-building retreats, to name a few. You can help right now to make a difference for those who have helped and protected us all. Warrior Shield Foundation. Selflessly doing for those who need it most.
Better dig deep, put 'em in the ground.
Selflessly is absolutely the correct term. That is warriorshield.org. Please go support them at www.warriorshield.org. Please, folks. Those folks, we've talked about them. You've had them on. Tonight is our second special where we will have Steve Cleverly, Sergeant of Arms for Warrior Shield, and Julie Oligschlaeger, who is the Vice President, co-founder, and mother of Corporal Chad, Eric, Oligschlaeger, for PTSD, their foundation. Let's bring Tanya up. Jim, if you can. We've made our wait too long, I feel. Tanya, good
Hey,
morning. Good
good morning.
morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
This long time coming.
Yes.
That's for sure. We've obviously had scheduling conflicts back and forth because you are busier than, I'm telling you, the stuff you do and the places you've been. We'll get into all that. But first, I want to thank Steve Cleverly, who, by the way, out of the 7.8 billion people on Earth, says you are his favorite human. So that's pretty good. You know, so that's I mean, nobody's ever claimed that for me. You know? So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve, from Warrior Shield Foundation and all that, for introducing us to you and telling us about you and your work. Dr. Tania Glenn, tell us how you started in this process and how it kind of led you to, I'd say, I don't want to say unconventional, but like non-medical or pharmaceutical treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder, and your background and where you've been. The floor is yours.
All right.
Tell us all about you.
Well, thank you. So I grew up mostly in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And born in Atlanta. When I was in 7th grade, moved here to Austin, did a little stint overseas. My dad was a civil engineer, and we did a 5.5-year stint in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia, which makes me really, really appreciate being an American and even more patriotic than most people, I think.
Yeah.
And then I went to the University of Texas. I was 3 months away from finishing my master's degree at the University of Texas, and that is February of 1993, and that's when the ATF raided the Branch Davidian compound in Waco. So I watched that go down on the news, and I knew that day my calling was to go to places like Waco and help people like the ATF. I knew at the time I wanted to do crisis intervention and trauma work, and that sealed the deal. And so I went to school the next day and told my professors that I was going to do such work. And they told me I was crazy.
Yeah.
So I basically said, watch me. And I set out and I've put it together. I spent the first 10 years of my career working in a level 2 trauma center in Austin in the ER. And that was weekend nights. And that afforded me the ability to start to build my practice on the side on weekdays. And I did that until 2002. And then 9/11 just kind of launched the practice right out of a cannon. And so between 9/11 and March of 2002, I think I was present on duty for a total of 7.5 hours in the ER because I was gone. Like I was in New York with NYPD and all that.
Wow.
And so I went full-time private practice in 2002. And I was able to build slowly over time to get to the point in finally 2017, where I just started treating first responders and veterans, no civilians, just that population. And then today I have a great team. There's 6 of us full-time. And we've got 2 offices in Texas, one in Cedar Park, Texas, one in Seguin, which is near San Antonio. And we just love it. It's amazing. It's been the best journey. It is my calling. It's my passion. And I love every day I get to go to work.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Wow. You can tell. That's impressive. Yeah, that's impressive. Do you, I guess, kind of go back before we get into kind of more recent events. Some of the places we've talked about 9/11, going to New York, you were in Oklahoma City as well. You've been to Uvalde for the school shooting. And all. Tell us those from a layman's point of view, dealing with those folks who go through those traumatic experiences. What have you learned from those people to help you along your journey as well?
You know, every deployment's different. Every disaster is different. So Oklahoma City bombing was my first. Of course, that was 1995. And we really didn't have a good understanding of disaster mental health and really how to do it. That by far was my hardest deployment. It taught me a lot about pacing ourselves, what really people really need in those moments after an event like that. And what I started to realize is that I needed to be it's almost maternal, but like the calm that in the chaos, that is my forte, is to bring the chaos, right?
Yeah.
And depending on how quickly I get to go in, you only go when you're invited, that determines what level of work we're doing. So for example, with 9/11, I did 4 deployments there, and each one was different because of the time frame after the event. The first one was just what we call scene support, passing out water, Gatorade, having very informal conversations because everybody was busy digging and trying to find people. The second one was sort of some more group educational processes. The third one was a lot of the EMDR trauma treatment. That was December. So at that point, we're kind of looking at, treating the trauma that's manifesting in people's minds. And then the fourth one, it was the 1-year anniversary. So what I really learned to do is to think on my feet, to assess the situation, to pivot as needed. And so my thing is when I'm privileged to go and I get invited into these situations, it's just this constant evolution based on where people are in terms of their aftermath. Yeah. But now, like, we're at the point now where we have such good trauma treatment that my whole goal, my whole focus is mitigation and prevention. Okay. So when I had to cancel with you guys, I was still heavily involved with the DCA mid-air collision. Yeah. And I was assigned to a select group of NTSB team members. They were part of the recovery and reconstruction team. So getting it out of the Potomac and then in the hangar and putting it together. And that work was like every day for weeks. The trauma treatment it didn't really start until, well, there's a nightly out briefs and stuff like that. But the real trauma treatment was when everybody flew home to their respective cities, and then I flew to their cities to treat their trauma. Okay. And so it's amazing. It's intense, but the biggest thing that I think I've learned is to read the room and know kind of where people are. In a crisis, we're at the base of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is like a pyramid, and we all go to the base, which is food, water, clothing, shelter, safety. Yeah. And then as we start to like stabilize and we move up the hierarchy of needs, it's more psychological, emotional, and knowing when to introduce that and knowing when to hold back from that is one of the biggest things I've learned how to do in terms of trauma treatment.
Wow.
So for our military, when there's probably a couple situations that you have, right? You have some that come to you that I don't need to be here. I don't, but they're asked to come by a family member, a loved one. And then you have the ones that really need to be there.
Right.
So how do you start off, I guess, how do you get them to understand that this is where we're at, and where do you lead them from that point?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is education. So for 10 years, I contracted with the 4th Marine Aircraft Wing and the 4th Marine Division. One of the best things I've done in my career. It was 2004 to 2014. And, everything was going bad in Iraq at that time frame. Like it was just, everything was bad. The command brought me in because they were having some very tough deployments. And we started with education, like pre-deployment education, post-deployment education. And the way we do the education, it's like the language of the warrior. We talk about fight or flight. We talk about adrenaline, glucose, and cortisol. We talk about the physiology of stress and trauma. We don't talk about feelings. Like that's the part of my office is feelings. We say the other one all the time, but not feelings, right?
That's right.
So it starts with education. And when patients come in, everybody who walks in our door, I completely respect the fact that they're terrified to be here, right? Because they don't know what I'm going to do to them. Is it going to make things worse? All that. And we always, with every single patient, do a lot of education and normalization. And when you explain like why trauma happens and why you relive it and where it is in your brain and where we want to get it moved to your long-term memory, there's a lot of buy-in when people understand what's happening to them and why. And that to me has been the biggest winner. One of my members of the NTSB team with the mid-air collision is a former police officer, and he'd been through counseling. And he said, when our work was done, he said, I had a great therapist, but he never took the time to educate me. And all of that just makes sense now. It's just, I get it. Right. And so we start there, and then we kind of lean into the trauma treatment. And with veterans, they're like, fix me yesterday, as along with our first responders. They're very much like, fix me yesterday. So we tend to move very quickly through things for them because they're not going to spend 6 weeks talking about their family history. We're just not going there. Like,
that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
What
so it's kind of different what you would do with
that
situation. So it's different. Yeah. So it's different than if like someone like Dale and I came in and talked, because of the experience is different, right?
Right.
So you go up based on,
Right. Yeah. Right. Their bullshit meters are really high, and they're And they're
Yep.
like, if they look at me and they're like, childhood was fine. Okay, childhood was fine. If it comes up later on, that's fine too. But I have to
Yeah.
take them at their word. That means they don't want to address that. Maybe they
Correct.
will later. But most therapists are going to be like, well, tell me about your growing up and tell
I
me.
know
Yeah, and
the
they want to
cliched
move through it.
therapist that you
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
and it's that seems such the right path. It seems like almost every therapist should do it that way, but yet
Yes.
they don't. Of course, in my, again, I think about, therapy and people going to therapy, and oftentimes you're like, oh, I don't need therapy. I'm just, regardless of what situation you are in life. But then I always think of that too. It's like, I don't want to go back. I had like the perfect childhood. I don't need to hear like, I don't want to go back and address any of that stuff. And,
Right.
and that's not, when you're talking about a crisis, whether it's war or a mid-air collision, and the folks tasked with finding bodies or finding
Right.
equipment or finding all that, that's the emotional stress right then and there.
Right.
And I kind of liken it to when you said, they kind of go their separate ways, and it kind of, when they get back home, I liken it on a smaller scale to maybe a personal death in your life.
Yeah.
And you go through the funeral process, and you're going through changing all this, social security numbers, bank accounts, blah, blah, blah. And then the funeral happens, and then you get home, and that's when it hits. Right.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's when the grieving or the sorrow or whatever your
Yeah.
thoughts are start hitting. So it's,
Right.
it only makes sense.
Right.
How did you get involved then into Warrior Shield? I know the whole veteran kind of led you down this path. It makes sense, but how did you get involved with them and Corporal Chad O Foundation, which I think is how you eventually got involved with Warrior Shield? But you tell us.
Yeah. So Corporal Chad, so I was living in North Austin.
Okay.
And running every morning in this awesome park right behind where I lived.
Yep.
And I was kind of going through some stuff, and there was this bench, and it had these flags, and it was really beautiful. And I'm like, one day I'm going to stop and see what that bench is all about. So one day I finished a run, and I go over there, and I pull this flyer, and I'm completely stunned. It is this amazing flyer story about Chad's journey.
Yep.
And talking about his parents and this foundation. And I'm like, wow. And so I called them the next day. I was terrified. I was like, they're going to hang up on me. They're going to be like, who is it?
Who is it? Yeah.
And we talked for like an hour, and they're like, well, let's get together. So the first time I met them in person was a few weeks later. They came to my office. The whole board came. And I did education. I did this presentation we give called Trauma and Resilience. And I was talking about how PTSD manifests and what happens to your brain and the damage from the cortisol, and then how we mitigate it, how we fix it, all this stuff. And I finished this presentation 2 hours, and the board is like stunned, and they're just staring at me. And Chad's dad, Eric, just looked at me, and he's like, where have you been? Yeah. And I said, Eric, I've been here all along. Like, he's like, I wish we had found you sooner. And I'm like, man. And so like it launched this relationship. So the next thing I did was went to their next fundraiser and got to know them, and really kind of they became part of my family. I became part of their family. That was 2013. And so we have like worked with, thanks to the funding that they generate, we have worked with, I think at this point, well over 300 veterans. Julie has the exact number.
Yeah.
And so we've been through COVID together when we couldn't fundraise. We've been at that point where, we did some free therapy here because they were out of money, and we couldn't. It's been this, this journey, and kind of like being part of a family, the ups and downs, and so that was. The relationship has been so important to our practice. Yeah. And we love doing the fundraisers. And then 2 years ago, I went to my first Warrior Shield Foundation event. And I was like, man, I wonder if we could get Corporal Chad as the recipient. So we started to kind of advocate, right? I brought my entire team last year. We actually were the ones, and I don't know if you were at the concert on Friday night, but we were the ones with purple tie-dye shirts over there.
That's where you were, over in the corner, right side of the stage.
Yep.
We know. That's
right. We were always talking about how spiked the water is there.
Yeah, we're like,
the water is pretty potent. This is weird.
We're like, they are having the most fun. That whole team over there is having the most fun. Shoot, of course, now we know. Dang it. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see
that
year too.
That was us. That's dancing for hours. Like,
oh my gosh. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah. So go ahead. You were talking about advocating for it, and then of course Steve was on the as part of the board and all that now. So
Right.
you two were
Right.
close. I don't even know how did you two become close through the Warrior Shield
So I met
Foundation?
him at a fundraiser for Corporal Chad before that.
Oh, you
And
did.
so,
Okay, so
yeah,
he was
so he
okay.
and a friend of his did a separate fundraiser, and that's where we met. And then just over time, it sort of progressed to this Warrior Shield Foundation. And my experience there, the first year I was so just enamored with the whole program, and the people there. And and so last year the whole team went. We sponsored the United Flight 93 table. Which is really special for me because of my involvement with 9/11, and also I work. One of my customers is Southwest Airlines, so that commercial aviation connection, and Karen. And then I was hoping we could get Corporal Chad as the recipient this year, and sure enough, so we are geared up to go back. I've been working already on my keynote presentation for that Saturday night, and I'm so excited.
She's got a big speech Saturday night at
the event.
So
we'll have depending when you get there. We usually do 2 live shows, so we'll have you on during
before the concert, before the gala, of course. None's happening during that because we want to be in there. That's
where we're going to be.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, that's incredible. I'll tell you, it was weird when we had heard that Corporal Chad Foundation was going to be this year's recipient before they announced it, and I went and I looked them up online. And then I just started reading the story, the timeline. It's a very extensive timeline of events that took place in his life. And I was something just drew me to it. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, this poor kid, this poor kid, just being denied at every level. Right. And then I was like, yeah, how could they not sponsor them? I mean, you just read the story alone, and it's like, it's so touching and heartbreaking. And then, of course, we had the pleasure of having Julie on a month ago or so, and she'll be on again tonight. And then it's like, these people are just special human beings and deserve all the goodness they can get. It was just so heartbreaking that it absolutely seemed like the absolute right choice. So I'm glad the Warrior Shield did. I think it was. I don't think it took much convincing, really. But once they knew,
with the experience of Chad's story, I don't know if I want to know this, but maybe I do want to know this.
I'll put that up there too.
How many? I guess not how many, but are there more of Corporal Chads out there that with the same thing that happened to him that we just like? Can something change? I mean, this was ridiculous.
Yeah, there are. It's frustrating. And, I remember last year, I think Chance was saying something about how when the government, the VA, fails our veterans, it's up to the nonprofits to step up. And that just resonated with me because that is exactly what's happening. Like, very true. All the grind of all the veterans going through the VA and all the medications and all the problems they're having with all these medications. I've sent veterans to a private physician that we use here north of Austin. And she's looked at their list of meds, and she's like, are you kidding? Like, we're going to take this away. You're going to taper off this. Like, and they feel so much better. So I feel like we have to do better. We really do. I would love to sit on a board to fix the VA. I would love to be part of something. Like, I would give my time to do that because it's just the customer service is not there, and the care and the attention, and who deserves it the most? This is the population that deserves it the most. And to me, it's like this: we have to get better at this.
Exactly. And your treatment involves no prescribing of medications, right? I mean, this is all just working on the mental aspect of it all. When you hear about the medications and what they take, and some of the stuff that Corporal Chad took, that they were prescribing him. And even now, when you look at these lists, it's like, do not take this. The side effects alone are much worse than the actual reason you're taking most of these medications. And, when they start then prescribing this one to fix this one, then this one to fix this, it's a series of just pharmaceuticals that are absolutely destroying these people. yeah, I don't know how you combat that. Although I hope we have an administration now, and with RFK Jr. in there and
Yeah.
all that, who will take this seriously. My concern with all that, like probably everybody's, is what happens in 4 years.
Yeah.
What happens when that administration goes out and you have the big pharma people back in there again and all that. Yeah, it's a concern for sure.
Yeah.
The work you're doing is selfless yourself.
And I can tell you, from a personal experience, well, from my son's standpoint. My son's a police officer, and he was involved in his first shooting. He hadn't even been in police force for maybe a year or two, and he was right there with it happening. So demanding, you have to go mandatory counseling. I don't need it, but he went because he had to.
Yeah.
And he's glad he did.
Yeah.
It was things that he didn't realize that, oh my gosh, I guess, because there's things that just went through. So to stress the importance of first responders, it doesn't matter what kind of event you go through, whether it's driving up to a car wreck where a child has been killed in a car wreck, or from the military side where your whole half of your platoon was taken out by an IED. So the work that you do and trying to get them to get, and I like the fact that it's not medication. So, but how your success stories, you push them, but have you, and maybe you don't want to talk about this and you don't have to, but because I think we need to be aware that sometimes, things happen. Have you had some not so successful? And how
So the only time we've not had success is when people just kind of refuse to engage in the process. Like we try, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Right? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So we've had some folks who just didn't want to do the work. Right. So part of the work, we do this amazing trauma treatment that's called eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And I can explain all that.
Please.
But part of that, getting ready to do EMDR, is that you have to be working on your resilience, which is hydration, nutrition, rest, exercise, your family, your faith, your friends, your hobbies, your life outside the job. Because the better your resilience, the better you respond to EMDR.
Sure.
And we've had some people who've come through and they were just basically done. Like it's almost like when people enter marriage counseling and one is just done, you're not going to get anywhere. Like if they're checked out, they're checked out, right? But when we have people who come in with that like kick butt, can do attitude, fix me yesterday, I'll do all my homework, I'll do it 10 times, and so when we get that, there's no stopping people. They will achieve exactly what they want, which is good resolution of that trauma.
Yeah. So explain that then. Is it EMDR? Is that what you said? Yeah. So yeah.
So it's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It was developed in the early 90s by a lady named Francine Shapiro. She kind of stumbled on it. And honestly, when I first heard about it, I'm like, there's no way, right? No way. Yeah. And so I had a preceptor in the emergency room who was like, you should really go through this training if you're going to treat trauma. So I took my class in Baltimore, and the clinician who led my class was the ATF clinician at Waco. So I was really excited to learn from him.
Sure, sure.
And it was 1995. My first day of training was the day of the Oklahoma City bombing. And 2 weeks later, the first person I did it on was an Oklahoma City firefighter who found what was left of the daycare, and he was not okay.
No.
And I watched this transformation. I was 26 years old. I was terrified because I'd just been training. But there's no time like the present, like jump in, right? And he kept saying, if you could just take these images out of my head, I'll be forever grateful. So what EMDR does, what happens when we go through trauma is your brain can't process it like normal information. So at the point of trauma, your frontal lobe basically captures what you see, hear, taste, touch, and smell for you for later on. Okay. And then if your heart rate hits 180 beats per minute from stress, this thing called your prefrontal cortex, it shuts down. So normally what happens with no big deal non-trauma situations is what you see, hear, taste, touch, and smell enters the frontal lobe of your brain. And then your prefrontal cortex grabs it and sticks it into short or long-term memory, depending on relevance. Okay. What happens during trauma is it sticks here, your prefrontal cortex is checked out. And then what happens is we start to replay. And what we tell all of our customers is that video in your mind, what you saw, heard, tasted, touched, and smelled, you're reliving it really hardcore. What we want to see is by 7 days post-incident, that replay is really starting to slow down. In other words, you think about other things, the nightmares have stopped, you're not so distracted like you were on days 1, 2, and 3 with that constant sort of in your face replay.
Sure.
And by 14 days post-incident, we want it banked in your long-term memory. So what that means is that your brain has successfully grabbed it from your frontal lobe and stuck it into your long-term memory. If that doesn't happen, we use EMDR, right?
Okay.
One thing though about the 2-week span is if someone has a super, super bad trauma, we're not going to wait 2 weeks because if we're not going to have them like suffer and gut it out.
Right.
So
Correct. Yeah.
I've done EMDR as quickly as day 2 or 3 post-incident.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Depending on the trauma of, or the person, right? Because everybody handles trauma different, right?
Yes,
okay.
absolutely. Absolutely. We did a documentary about it. It's called Firepower Resilience. It's on YouTube. And
Okay.
that is about the getting in and doing it very quickly because these people were not going to be okay, right?
Yeah.
And so what EMDR does is it replicates rapid eye movement that you do in your sleep cycle, which is when you process trauma from the last 48 hours. So a couple of nights of nightmares after something horrible, that's normal. We're of course wanting that to slow down and stop, right? So it replicates the rapid eye movements, but you're awake and alert and in control. It's not hypnosis. We don't put you under a spell.
Okay.
And the way we do it is we sit like we're meeting up, and I have you kind of pull up that worst moment that just won't let you go. And if we can do this, if you have 5 or 500 traumas, we're going to kind of narrow down the thing that has bothered you the most, the thing that has stuck with you the most, the thing that's here. And we start with you holding that image in your mind. And I have a blue light on my finger and my hand is about 18 inches in front of your eyes. And what we do is I'll have you hold that moment in your mind. And then I start the eye movements, which is I take the patient's vision bilateral, left, right. So this is basically, I'm doing this, right? So what this does is it's replicating the rapid eye movements, but it's focused and directed. And what I tell people all the time, when I start the first set, it's at some point your brain is going to move off the mark and it's going to go to other things. So it may take you through the event, it may bounce around out of order, and it may go to other things. And I tell them wherever your brain goes, let your brain go there because your brain has this mental map of where it needs to go in order to heal.
Gotcha.
And as we're unlocking the trauma and the synapses start to open, your frontal lobe, this thing called your hippocampus, generates new neural pathways to process that trauma. And so we move it from here in your face to a fading distant memory. The key is that it becomes a bad memory. We all have bad memories. Bad memories don't haunt us all day long. They don't trigger us, but trauma that's here will trigger us forever.
Gotcha.
So that's what EMDR does, right? It's amazing. Amazing.
It's amazing. And it works. I mean,
Absolutely.
like you said, you would have to be hearing it for the first time. Maybe something I should know about, but hearing it for the first time, it does sound like, wait a second.
Yeah.
You know, how could that generate it? But it's all part of, I mean, the brain is, you probably understand it way more than I do. You know, the fact that it can process that or put it in the background and not keep it in the constant highlight reel, you know, is amazing.
I want to play a quick comment because this is directed at you as well. It's fascinating work. Not everyone is cut out for heroes helping heroes. Yeah. So, and I think that's an excellent point, Mike.
Thank you, Mike, for that.
Yeah.
They're getting into that portion of that when, if you were to say you do go through the 2-week process or you do it more immediate, depending on the trauma and the person itself, is that then the determination of, okay, this is now we're successfully helping somebody. What's the steps beyond that? Because sometimes I feel like she's great and she got me to do this. I go back out to the real world and bam, here it comes back, you know. What's the, you know, I don't know if that happens or what happens after that point. Yeah.
So it's different for everybody. So what I really encourage, especially our local patients who are in the area, I encourage them to keep coming, right? Because we want to finish out whatever else the other issues are and build their resilience and finish that up. But at the same time, like, for example, Uvalde, like we go in, like, here we come, like, we're going to take this event, we're going to EMDR it, we're going to knock it out of the park, we're going to teach them resilience, but our time there is limited and shortened, right?
Yeah.
So it's really up to them to continue that or to follow up with us if they need more care. A lot of our first responders and veterans are just really dialed into their resilience. And so a lot of times we can get in and we can basically exercise the demons and get out. But but if there are other issues, if there's marriage issues going on, if there's alcohol issues, whatever, we really encourage people to keep coming so we can get it all cleaned up.
Sure.
The beautiful thing about EMDR, the brain wants to heal.
Mhm.
And it wants to move that information. And so once we move it to your long-term memory, your brain doesn't regurgitate it, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't push it back up. For people who have like subsequent traumas, so I worked with a police officer who's involved in a shooting. Her initial EMDR was something that happened to her when she was 15.
Mhm.
And then the subsequent, she's now a police officer involved in a shooting. And so her first EMDR was pretty, it was heavy. It was hard. And she worked really hard and she did really well. The one for the shooting, like she was in and out in 15 minutes.
Wow.
And what I have found is that once we train the brain to process trauma, you get really good at it. And so basically your brain knows what to do. So we hit that moment. It was for her, it was the pop, 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 that sound.
Yeah.
Because it was in like some woods and she
Sure.
didn't really see the guy. Right. And so once we train the brain to do it, it's super fast for people. So if I come across, if something else happens in Uvalde, the people I did EMDR on, I would expect them to be ready to just like process that
Just
trauma.
to process it.
Yeah. What I found working with the Marine Corps is that, so I did EMDR on some of those Marines who were in on the invasion, and then they redeployed in 2005 when everything was horrible.
Yeah.
And they actually did better on their second deployment, even though it was technically worse. than the first one,
Right.
Yeah.
because we had done that EMDR and their brain knew how to process the trauma.
Oh,
Wow.
that's okay. Well, that's good. That's interesting.
That is impressive.
Very
Yeah,
much
that's-
so.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing what this little thing up here does.
I know.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Does it even work on Democrats? It's just my.
Yeah.
I assume so.
Does it? Okay.
And I know,
Is it okay? I didn't know.
and I'm going to tell you, I know our wives are right now going to be listening to this saying, "Can you help our husbands?" There's just no help for us. There's just none. I'm sorry.
You
There's just-
traumatize them every day. Yeah, they need the EMDR to
Yeah,
block
they
us
need
out.
the-
That's what they need. Yeah, this is absolutely. I could listen to this all day because I know nothing about it. Right.
Yeah.
So this is all new, kind of new information and new terminology and new processes that I'm just not aware of. And I guess thank God in a way because I haven't needed,
Correct.
and that's the part that gets me. When you fly into these places, you said you have 6 total people in practice. Do they also go else? Are they also mobile? They go elsewhere. They go when needed to places. Okay. All right. So you all do. Gotcha.
We all do. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And the magnitude determines how many of us go. Sometimes it's 1 and sometimes it's more than 1. So it varies.
And you just never know when you're going to get the call. Right.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing.
Right.
It seems to me when, you must be pretty well known in that area because, they're calling you for Uvalde and then the DC plane crash and all that. And is there a different way to handle, say, a DC plane crash more so than a veteran coming back from do you find one is a little bit more difficult than the other to try to resolve, I guess is my question.
So I would say that going into a terrible trauma right in the aftermath, like really quickly, like people they're still kind of stunned and numb and they're hurting and they know they're not okay. And they're more receptive and open because they know like they're so impacted by the event that they're hurting. That to me is easier than a veteran who's been suffering for 10 years or 20 years or however long. And they come in very skeptical, very guarded. They've had terrible experiences with other therapists or at the VA. And so they're just a lot more understandably like cynical, guarded, angry, that kind of thing. And we just roll with that. Like I always think, well, I would be the same way. I'd be like, who the hell are you? And what do you know? Right.
Correct.
So,
like, how can you take care of what I've been holding on for 20 years?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my patients, I wrote about this in one of my books. I went and got him from the waiting room and I was bringing him to my counseling room here. And he's walking behind me and he goes, just so you know, this is bullshit. And I was like, just so you know, you're in the driver's seat. And he goes, what? I'm like, you're in control. You're in control here. And he's like, oh. It's
like what?
You just got to roll with it, right? You just, you know, you understand what pain is, and you understand how
Mhm.
people have sustained this pain for a long time,
Mhm.
and how skeptical they are because of
Yeah.
like they saw the therapist and they started talking about kind of a normal day in Iraq, not even a bad day, and the therapist starts crying. You know,
Mhm.
it's just every veteran we have, and the longer they've suffered, it's just harder. It's,
It does
you know,
take
Yeah,
a special person and a special group of people because you're seeing trauma also. You are witnessing it
Yeah.
firsthand shortly after it happens, right? When
Yeah.
when you go on these locations. So you yourself, I mean, how do you practice what you preach on yourself? Is it are
Absolutely.
you able to do that? I guess that's a question.
Yeah.
By the way. So
Yeah. So we all work out. All of us. We all work
Mhm.
out. I work out every day. When I travel, half my suitcase is my workout clothes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like,
Mhm.
yeah. We all talk to each other. We vent. We play together. We dance. We do all the. We are very, very cohesive, and we really stick together in this because it takes a special group to really.
Yeah,
I would
I would think.
Right.
But we definitely practice what we preach. I think also like I always say that I had an amazing childhood. My parents were the perfect combination of kick ass and kick my ass.
Yeah.
And my mom is German, and she grew up in Berlin in World War II.
Oh wow.
And so she established my resilience. Like she taught me to be like fiercely independent, to not be afraid of anything, and to just like lean into life and go for it. Right. And you know, she has never had fear, not of anything, not, you know,
Wow.
and so I think she really influenced my personality and my upbringing and all that. And then, you know, getting into these events, I think everything kind of prepares you for what's next.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, when we hire a therapist, we don't stick them in with an officer involved shooting officer type. We're going to start with the paramedic who's burned out, or the firefighter with relationship issues.
Right.
We turn up the heat slowly to make sure that they're adjusting and adapting. There were 2 points in my career where I felt like I had to take a knee and drink some water. And one was the aftermath of the Oklahoma City bombing, when they just kind of like burned through us and grinded through us. We worked 16-hour days. It was a lot. Yeah. And then the second was my very first trip. I did a sort of a stint at Brooke Army Medical Center. And I was working with the Marines and soldiers who were really, really burned. And working in the ER, I go in thinking, okay, I've seen things, I know, and boy, my first trip there, I was like, oh my God, like I had to step out. I walked out. There was a colonel with the 4th MA who kind of followed me out. I love him dearly. He's a good friend of mine. Yeah. And he was kind of a mentor. And and I'm pacing, and I'm like, I got my hands on my knees, like I'm going to throw up. And he's like, so what's going on? And I was like, I can't do this. And he's like, I know it's a lot. He goes, but those Marines in there really need you. And so I'm going to encourage you to just think about the choices that you need to make today. And I was like, and I'm back. Like, when
you think about it, it's like what I'm going through is nothing.
Yeah. Our military, we look at them as being the best of the best, right? The toughest of the toughest. But then we have to realize even the strongest of us need that help sometimes, because we cannot. I can sit here and I hear about what happens. I didn't experience it. So I think a lot of times that might have been part of the reasons why some of this, because we look at it and said, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. They're tough. That's who they are. Well, that doesn't mean they're not tough. Right. It just means they're experiencing something that a lot of us would be doing probably worse than what they're doing.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah, I want to play a comment here, just because I kind of agree with this, and then I kind of want to ask you your thought process on pharmaceuticals in general. It says here, so we're replying to another person on that, but we got the next 4 years are the only chance we have at getting big pharma out of our healthcare system for good. That's from Aiken. Thank you for posting that. Yes, I don't think it'll ever happen. I don't think you're ever going to get them out of our system. Are there people, the people that are, I took this medicine and it helped me and it got me, it made me better. Is there a call? Is there a need for it in some cases? Or, what's the good ones? What's the bad ones? My gosh, our TVs are inundated with every medicine that's ever been made. Right. So how do you know? I mean, you're going to a doctor, you're trusting what a doctor is saying to you, which I always am, be your own self-doctor in a way when it comes to that stuff and do your own research. But how do you know what's good and what's bad? And are there good ones?
Yeah. There are, right? But the
Okay.
key is that the big pharma is not controlling everything and they're not lobbying, that
Mhm.
that we give people like the education about what the medications do and the choices to make them, right?
Mhm.
So I've had plenty of trauma patients who we talk to your doctor about trazodone to help you sleep, which is not habit forming and it doesn't do all the wacky stuff that Lunesta and Ambien does, right? Very safe, very not habit. And then the VA figured out this medication called Prazosin, which stops nightmares. And that's a great thing. Like the ability to sleep and the ability to not have nightmares. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Is it a forever and ever? We hope not. Like we want to taper and see how you do and, and
Mhm.
get you to sleep without that stuff.
Yeah.
But some people, like when you're sleeping 30 minutes a night, that's gas on the fire, right? So, so there are good options, but like what happened to Corporal Chad, the Seroquel and the Xanax and all the,
correct.
like, what are we doing? Like, why? Why are we doing this? And so
what responsibility the doctors in our military, did they not know this with the drugs? And if they didn't, who are they? What is their training? Because doctors should know. I know pharmacists know more, right? But doctors should know, wow, I probably shouldn't give this with this. So how I think that's where it needs to change, is how is he able to prescribe him all these meds?
And is it still going on?
Yeah.
Today? I think it is.
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay.
I have lots of patients who get a box every month of medication sent to their house and they don't do anything with them. Like they just, they take them to the PD and waste them in those little pill capsules.
Yes.
But yeah. And, with Chad's situation, like, were those prescribed by different doctors? And did they look at like what he was already on, or did they just like, oh, your symptom is this, I'm going to give you this.
I'm going to give you
and
this.
not realize I don't know. I don't know.
Could be.
Yeah.
You're right. It happens in day-to-day life. You can go to multiple doctors and get multiple different medicines without them even looking at a chart or interacting, or even, I can go to a doctor and tell them, what medicines are you on? None. Unless they do blood work or unless they, do all this other stuff, but I'm having this or I'm having that. Well, here's a medication for you.
Right.
Well, it could be counteracting the one that I currently have or enhancing it to a negative level on the one that I currently have. So is there training going on at, is there somebody at the Pentagon heading up an actual department that trains these doctors on how to relate and deal with PTSD issues or mental health issues within the military? I'd say no, right?
I have no idea. All I know is
that's
that 9/11
sad. Really not to know.
Yeah. Like I know that 9/11 happened and we're going to war. And to me, that was like the perfect time to set up like the best mental health services for our veterans. And, the war has started and I'm at a conference and there's a colonel from the Pentagon and she's like, oh, we have a solution. We created this checklist, the PDHRA something checklist. And so if one of our soldiers comes back and says, yes, I want to murder my wife, then we're going to get him care. And I was like, ooh, that's your solution.
That's how many people are going to check that box.
Yeah.
Like what?
And most of them won't check the box.
Right. Correct.
Oh man.
Yes. You have Green Berets. Did you see any dead bodies? No. Did you? Yeah. Did you encounter any combat? No. It's no. No. Because they want to go home. Right.
Yeah. Correct. Correct. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What a missed opportunity.
Maybe you need to contact Pete Hegseth and get in there and have you be.
Sure, be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because I do think that with as bad as situation is that we're seeing right now throughout, wouldn't be a bad investment.
Or Doug Collins, who's in charge of the VA now, isn't he?
Well, that's actually the one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Those people are ones who need to address this and get the right, people in place to make sure that this doesn't happen. It's sad. And in Corporal Chad's case, I mean, he went to his superiors. He was telling them how he was feeling. The story to we only talk about Iraq on Wednesdays. I mean, you listen to it's just the most bizarre turn of events for this poor kid, and that is happening still today. We know it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we know it.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I will say that I did this conference for mental health for first responders in Evansville, Indiana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tiny Evansville, right?
Yeah.
And I had a huge group of people there, first responders, and they had given everybody my first book, which is called First Responder Resilience. And that's really about trauma treatment and customer service.
Mm-hmm.
And this nurse came up afterwards. People were having their books signed. And, this nurse came up and she's crying and she handed me her book. And she said, I have to tell you that my husband, he goes to the VA and he went in a few weeks ago and everything was different. Like their attitudes were different and the way they approached the trauma and stuff was very different. Mm-hmm. And he asked why. And somebody at the VA held up my book. And I was like, what? Like, wow. So it can be done, right?
It can be, right?
It can be. It can be, right? I mean,
everything, it's got to get to the right people in the right hands,
we have
the right ears.
Mm-hmm. We have a question from a listener. It says, Tania, what do you do with people that need help but are reluctant to get that help?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a good question.
So
Thank you.
I have written 10 books. We have 3 documentaries. They're all on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to our website, you see the connection and it takes you to smashingthestigma.com. And I just like to inform people and educate them on what they would expect from a competent therapist who treats this population. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of people, it's like once they watch the documentaries and they kind of all of our documentaries, we interview patients, either former or current patients, because they're so moved by their healing that they want to share their stories. Yeah. So people get to hear straight from the horse's mouth what it's like to go through treatment and what it's like to go through EMDR. And a lot of times when people see that, they watch the documentary, they say things like, okay, if he can do it, I can do it. Or if she can do it, I can do it. Mm-hmm. And so that seems to, I think, just normalizing what happens to the brain, explaining, educating, and doing the research, I think will help people get help, right? Well, yeah. The other thing is that, so therapy, 2 things. The patient's in the driver's seat. Like we, as trauma therapists, we never, ever compel people to talk about things that they don't want to talk about or to describe things in graphic detail. If a trauma therapist does that, that's their morbid curiosity, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the patient is always in the driver's seat. And the other thing is that it's kind of like physical therapy. So you hurt your knee and you go to physical therapy and they give you the homework, right? With the stretchy bands and all that stuff. And they're like, do this stretch 3 times a day. And then next week there's progress. And then the next week there's progress. Mm-hmm. Coming to therapy should be the same way. We're going to set goals. We call it the plan of attack. And we're going to set objectives to reach those goals. And we're going to get there. And here's how we're going to get there. And there's a definite, like a plan of attack, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's not coming here for years and years and years and, crying about your mother and all that nonsense that you see in the movies. It really is directed at, like, we should see progress every week. And if we don't, then we have to re-attack, right? And
correct.
And come from a different direction.
Yeah, correct.
We have another quote. Sorry.
Uh-huh.
We have another question from Aiken. Tania, have you considered doing consulting work for the VA regarding trauma therapy? I believe they would benefit massively from it. Yeah. Thank you, Aiken.
Yeah, I mean,
I would love to. I just need that in. Like I don't know. Yeah, I need the in. So
I mean, you would think when they call you or your associates or your practice in general for events like the DC crash and all that, you think that there would be somebody who would say, hey, wait a second, it works for them. We have success stories. We know what's happening here. Yeah. Let's bring her in. That's probably a lot of red tape to get through to get you in, unfortunately, but hopefully somebody out there, somebody's listening or somebody's got a connection that can get you involved in that, because it's going to take that kind of work. This is going to be a never ending cycle.
Right.
I'm afraid.
Right.
And I get it. Trauma will happen regardless of the therapy that you have. There's going to be trauma events. There's going to be a plane crash. There's going to be, these are just things that are going to happen. That are going to require somebody to handle these folks for their PTSD afterwards. It's just, who do they call? How are they doing it? You seem to have a successful way of getting it done, and hopefully that gets out more even, and you get the more attention and the attention you deserve. You mentioned, I had a list here, and it's not on my list that I copied and pasted there, but you said 10 books you've written. Where can people get those books at? I know they can get a hold of you at there it is, www.Tania, Tania Glenn, GLENN.com. They can get a hold of you and your practice through there. How else can they reach you and find the books?
Yeah, the website's the best way. The books are on Amazon or wherever online books are sold.
Are they? Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and YouTube, you've got these documentaries, 3 of them on YouTube,
Right.
you said,
Yeah.
that are
Yes.
available.
Uh-huh.
Do they find them through just your name or the title, or just because we want to make sure we get promoted and get it out there?
Yeah. So the easiest way, we linked a website to our taniaglenn.com. It's called smashingthestigma.com. And
That's
all 3
right.
are loaded right there.
You
But it
mentioned
just
that earlier.
basically-
See, I need therapy. I would probably take a session, walk out the door, and forget what I just learned.
I would, you know what? I'm
You
gonna be
probably
honest with you.
can't help with that.
I would
problem.
pay for that therapy.
He would pay for it. You're going to be again at the Warrior Weekend this September 5th and 6th down in Orlando, Florida at the Rosen Center. You're giving the keynote speech on Saturday evening at the gala, which is going to be absolutely incredible. We cannot wait for that. Us too this year, we went down, just Jim and I, last year ourselves, and so impressed with the people and the event, and just everybody you met felt like family. That's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah.
And coming back this year, Jim's got a whole group coming. Myself, my wife, my daughter, her boyfriend, we're all coming down to it. We're just trying to just get as many people to support it because for one, the Warrior Shield's an amazing nonprofit organization, truly nonprofit organization. And it goes to another truly amazing nonprofit organization in the Corporal Chatto Foundation. If you don't know, and we've been preaching it now forever, please look them up, and it'll be impressive. And if you can't make it, you can still donate, right? If you can't make it, we'd love to have you at the event because we want to pack that place, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And you enjoyed the concert last year, and it was great, fantastic. Natasha Owens is coming this year. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with her at all. But, oh my God, it's going to be even better. It's
going to be it's absolutely going to be a great event.
You want to talk about a patriot?
I'm glad we saw you there last year. Sorry we never met you.
That's okay.
I know the whole group.
Yeah, because it's like that group over there looks like they're having a lot of fun.
I know. It's like, why aren't we over there?
Yeah. Come join us. We do that a lot. We get in a circle and dance.
I know.
Well, that's probably why I didn't go over there, because I don't dance.
Like normally,
I just hold my drink up and do
that. I'm not going to do it. Tania, thank you so much for coming on. It was absolutely a pleasure. We'd love to have you back on.
We'd love to.
I don't know what your schedule is going to be like. Of course, we'll try to coordinate it all. If for some reason we don't, we'll obviously see you in September. But if there's any new developments, anything you want to talk about as far as this goes, I'm certain I did not ask enough questions because I'm not knowledgeable enough in it. But I'm learning, and hopefully, if there, go on, Jim.
Well, once a month for the end until just one time a month and at night. Up until the event, we have a special that we're doing. It's just a Warrior Shield Wednesday special. And if you feel that, you know what, you'd like to come on and maybe talk about some things to the group, then because it's like we call it like a mini telethon. We try to get people to donate and everything else and stuff. So but if you're willing to do that and you want to do that, just let us know, and we'll let you know those dates and the times.
I'd love to. Yes.
And then see what we can do from there.
Yeah,
excellent.
Amazing. I would love
Tania, I can see why Steve says you are his favorite human being on earth. Again, thank you for coming on. There's a comment. God bless you for what you do. Tania, thanks for being on the show. Yeah, absolutely. We couldn't say it any better. And
I know you won't admit this, but the comment before was right. You are a hero that helps heroes. So we thank you. Thank you for your work.
Thank you, guys.
It was an honor to have you on, and a pleasure. And
thank you for having me.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we'll see you soon, too.
Yeah, see you soon.
Right. All right, Tania.
God bless.
Take care.
All right, bye-bye. Oh, man, that was everything I thought. So here's my thought process on it. I literally am not on the same intellectual level to figure out the whole therapy end of it. And
I could have told you that.
And our audience could have told us that. And to ask the what I would think to be the proper questions, but I learned a ton just in this little bit, that whole EMDR, wasn't familiar with it, didn't know anything about it. She's got a very calming way of you could see why she works and why her process works. That's all.
Well, and then you realize whether, what we never did ask her about her, religious affiliations or anything like that. But from my standpoint, God pointed her in the direction she needed to go to, because that's who they needed. So
agreed.
That's why I feel very strongly about that, because she's one of those strong, powerful
Well,
people that is going to help you.
You look at how she came across the Corporal Chad O Foundation. And if you've
Yep.
seen our ad at one point or whatever for that, and we'll play it again, it shows the bench she was talking about in the park that's all decorated with the flags, and it had flyers on it and all that. And the fact that she ran past it all the time and then just decided, hey, I better stop. And then developing that relationship with those people who needed it most, was absolutely incredible. So phenomenal. Thank you, Tanya, for coming back.
Adding to the list of people that we meet that just make us better.
Make us better.
And
make us better.
There's another one.
There you go. So, just keep chalking them up, keep adding them. Jim, let's go to we're gonna do Grit Gear and Lock and Load real quick here, and then we'll be back, and we've got our top 5 list. I don't know if we'll get to any stories, Jim.
Be pushing it, but we can maybe talk a few things, but we'll be all right.
All right. Be right back, folks.
Grit is defined as firmness of character, unyielding courage in the face of hardship or danger. At Grit Gear Apparel, we honor all military, police, fire, public service, and patriotic Americans, both men and women regardless of color, creed, or religion. Our brand represents the love and freedom for our country, the heroism of all our men and women, and the principles of what this wonderful country was built on. Our goal is to regenerate the sense of patriotism and to spark the American pride within us, to stand together in the toughest times and become victorious, to preserve all our freedoms, to honor our flag, and to respect the men and women who have fought and died for us to have these freedoms. Wear our brand with pride, with a sense of patriotism, and as a statement for the love of our country. Whether you're military, public official, or civilian, our brand is for you. Together we stand as Americans.
Do stand as Americans, everybody. Thank you, Buckeye. GritGearApparel.com and LockandLoadCoffee.com. I'm a little behind. I think my internet's going a little wanky again. But please go support them. If you can hear me, if I'm not breaking up, please go support them. And of course, warriorshield.org. So
because when you
really, it all trickles down, guys.
Yeah. When you support Grit Gear, you're supporting 2 wonderful people, very patriotic individuals, but you're also supporting Warrior Shield.
Warrior Shield, who is also supporting Corporal Chad O, which also supports and helps Tanya, Dr. Tania Glenn and Associates. And you see who she is and the work she does. Honestly, been looking forward to that interview for that reason, because of her work with veterans and first responders, and really wanted to know more about the whole non-pharmaceutical process and how that works. I feel I learned a lot. I hope the listeners
that's impressive. Think about that. That's impressive that no pharmaceuticals.
It's impressive.
No pharmaceuticals.
Which is really the key to it all.
That's what that should be the goal. Yes,
correct. Be the role. Jim, if you want to get into a couple things before our list, this bucket list thing may take a minute. So
it's okay. I just folks, the only quick thing I want to talk about is the thing with Elon Musk and Tesla. Okay. I saw an interview, Scott Jennings, and I cannot remember her name, but she was on CNN. She was in the Biden administration, and she just points out, and she makes this comment. She goes, you were okay with pardons of January 6th when people came in and destroyed our Capitol, but now you want people to be prosecuted for destroying this man's businesses. I don't think any of us felt that everything that happened on January 6th was good. Right? That should never have happened. People should never have went in there. People should never have destroyed anything, and people should never have harmed anything.
Yeah.
Those individuals, whether or not I believe they should have got a pardon or not, is beside the point. Okay. Yeah. I think some of them should not have had a pardon because of what happened, what they did. But I'm talking the ones who didn't even go in, who were just standing outside because they got a credit card They found out their credit statement. They were in the city that time. Or
they went to the gas station or a restaurant.
They found out
or
their
whatever.
phone
Ping
was
their
there.
phones.
So those are the ones. But
Mhm.
see, that's what really makes me mad. They only have January 6th.
Yep.
That's all they have.
That's
They
all
have nothing else.
That and a bunch of federal judges, that's all they have.
When Starbucks does stupid things,
Mm-hmm.
do we go down and burn down Starbucks?
Nope.
Do we go to the owner or the CEO of Starbucks and protest that? No, well, first of all, we have jobs, right?
Yep,
So we work, right? So
Yeah.
that's the thing. But it's the same thing with Facebook. When Facebook was taking our voices away,
Yeah.
right? When we didn't, you know how we did it?
Mm-hmm.
Some of us stopped using Facebook.
That's right.
Or some of us, we never went to Zuckerberg's house. We never went anywhere to cause harm, to burn things down.
Yes.
Because keep in mind, these people loved Elon Musk years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to save the planet. He has done more for the environment than anybody else.
He just brought
Now
2
he's the
astronauts
enemy. home,
but he's bad. He's stupid.
Why is he the enemy, Dale?
Because he backs Trump.
That's
Because
it.
he's finding their cash cows.
Yep.
He's stopping. He's at least bringing to the forefront, just like Trump did with fake news, right? We didn't realize fake news. It wasn't even really a big term before Trump, right? We didn't know what fake news was. We thought, we watch our local news. They're telling us the truth. We watch Walter Cronkite. I might not agree with what CBS or ABC or NBC saying, but they're telling me the news, and I guess that's it. All fake, all brought to the forefront because of President Trump. Same thing with Elon Musk at this point. He has made us all so aware of the government waste, which we knew the government does. We've heard the stories about, $1 billion toilets. They were all stories. Nobody paid much attention to it.
Nobody did anything about it.
Nobody did anything about it.
We knew it.
And now
Everybody
that they are, despite what federal judges are doing, and I'm apparently, you can't go now because Democrats are saying you can't go against judges. I'll just have one quick example of them saying, sure, go
unless
judges.
it's
But because he's doing that, that's why. Orange Man bad, anybody associated with him. And the fact that they go on there, they're calling him a Nazi and they're calling Tesla owners Nazis, and yet they're going to spray swastikas on the side of the cars. You'd think the owners, if they were Nazis, would be like, hey, I like that new decoration on my car, a swastika. No,
these judges,
idiotic they are.
Their families
They're
get money from NGOs.
evil.
Their families are on the boards of NGOs.
Yeah, correct.
So this is why they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with the law. It has nothing to do with anything other than the fact it's taking money out of their pockets.
And Aiken. Breaking news. Federal judge orders egg prices to go back up.
He doesn't like it. It's too low right now.
Yep, it's
Guys,
too low. We want
Did you
gas
see the
prices up.
February house numbers?
Yeah.
The housing numbers?
Fake news. Yep.
Why?
Why is that happening?
Because
all of a
people
sudden?
are feeling more comfortable because interest rates are coming down. Gas prices are at lowest that they've been since dipshit became president, and eggs are coming down.
Auto pen Biden.
and we'll get into more of that because now that same person that was on there arguing with Scott Jennings is also the same person they're thinking now use that.
Correct.
Quite a bit.
Exactly.
So
you're right, Tarna. They are screaming because their gravy train is getting exposed and cut off. That's it. As far as the federal judges go, ALC had a different point some time ago.
It's always, I always feel smart
because I feel smarter when I listen to her. Let's go. She had a different point.
A couple hours ago, what did you think?
Well, I think rulings like this, and I think we've seen from the FDA and also from activity in Congress that some of these rulings, I think we've been preparing and anticipating for there being these egregious overreaches by members of the judiciary appointed by a right-wing Republican Party whose goal for a very long time was to just pack these courts with partisan judges, often underqualified or completely unqualified for their role. And so there has been thought, I believe, given to this. Senator Ron Wyden has already issued statements, for example, advising what we should do in a situation like this, which I concur, which is that I believe that the Biden administration should ignore this ruling. I think that we, the courts have the legitimacy and they rely on the legitimacy of their rulings. And what they are currently doing is engaged in an unprecedented and dramatic erosion of the legitimacy of the courts. It is the justices themselves, through the deeply partisan and unfounded nature of these rulings, that
I want to stop it, but I
undermining
can't.
their own enforcement.
So you're saying
And Anderson Cooper just let this.
What did you hear? I'm just like,
Oh, Tarna, you're
make
right.
me my martini.
She aspires to be stupid.
She aspires to be stupid.
AOC is dumb as dumb can get. Yeah.
It's just a double it's just the back and forth politics bull crap.
And look, you get it
our
from
side
the right
lost,
as well.
we're against you. Their
You
side
get it
won,
from the
they're
right
against
as
them.
well. I get it. But show me now, if you can do, please show me where this judge in Texas that she's complaining about that has no experience, like she should know, right?
Yeah, like she knows.
I don't know how many judges she investigated when she was bartending, but anyway, I guess she can tell a judge what he's doing. But show me that judge that got money, from something that the government did. We can show you these leftist judges, that their family members are getting money,
correct,
from these NGOs.
Yes,
that's why the ruling. Okay, so do I think they need to be impeached? You and I talked about this. All right, do we need to impeach them? Can't. You need 67.
You need 67 senators. It's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
Maybe
so
after
let's
the
move on
midterms.
from that. And now, Josh, do I think Robert should have got involved? No, he probably should just let it alone.
He should have, because he said nothing.
He did make one comment, though, at the end that it was right. That's what appellate courts are for.
Yes.
Okay. So
agreed.
These things that are being held up right now, with the exception of USAD, because I think that is going to have to go through Congress.
I think so too.
Because it just sounds like that. They hold the purse strings. They issue money. They can be pulled back. It can be pulled back, but that's when our side needs to come back and say, okay, guys, here's all this money that's being wasted on USAD. They're saying that let's pass another bill that brings that back. Yeah, that's how that has to be done, right?
No, okay. I think John Roberts should be actually looking into these federal judges that are superseding the executive powers of the president of the United States. That's exactly what he should be
because
doing.
They're not ruling on anything.
No,
judge, get those people back. Are you
kidding? Are you kidding me? Did he ever say get those people back when Obama was deporting people?
Hell no.
No, hell no. But we got violent gang members raping and murdering our citizens, and a judge is telling them no. And I want to know when those flights left. I'm like, none of your damn business. You want to know that crap? Run for president, douche. That's the worst part.
And I'll be honest with you guys. I know the Democrat Party is a mess right now. Because they don't know where they're at, and they don't. They're not unified. They don't want the loudmouth leftist, right? They don't want the squad. Okay, AOC, but the Schumers and the Pelosi's are too old that we don't want them either. There's nothing in the middle.
There's nothing in the middle.
There's nothing in the
middle.
middle.
It's either one side or the other.
But understand, this is an evil party. They are evil. They will figure it out. They will find that voice like an Obama that comes in, and the churches, the bells will sing, the angels will sing, the music will sing, everything.
Rainbows will pop up, unicorns
will go back
fly
to what they did before.
Yes,
they're going to start moving. They're going to start moving to the middle,
to the center. Start placating to the black community again.
They are evil as hell,
and they're never going to change.
Nope,
not in our lifetimes. They're never going to change.
Nope.
Jim, phenomenal times. Guess what's happening? Phenomenal top 5 suggestion. I feel this week.
This was
okay.
Fun.
I like this one.
Yep.
Greasy Gavin is trying to get to the middle. That's true. You're not wrong with that. But Tampon Tim, he could beat the hell out of all of us. Yes, Jim. They're 100% evil for us.
They're terrible. They're horrible.
They are
people.
top 5, Jim.
All right.
Today, top
Can't wait
5
to see
bucket
yours.
list. Okay, so it's our top 5 bucket list.
Mhm.
We should never ever have probably the same. I would.
I
think.
bet you we have
Most
one.
people- I bet. Do
I
you?
just have the feeling. I have.
I don't think so.
One.
I
Okay.
don't
All right,
think
right.
so. You
Okay.
know. So it's Wednesday. I go first.
Yep,
So
you go
I
first.
shall wait. Here is my top 5 bucket list. I didn't really take the name and make it longer this time, did I? I did pretty good.
Nope, that was good.
I
Very
kept
good.
it right there. All right. So here you go, folks. My number 5, take a 2-week Alaskan cruise. Yes, that seems doable. It seems like, why would that be on a bucket list? Well, I haven't done it. And me and my wife, we'd love to
Too
do that.
cold.
Yeah,
I
so
wanna
that's my
see you on
problem. I agree, because I hate the cold, but I think there's no better time to see it than that,
Correct.
So I'll stay in the ship and I'll come out, look at the whales, and I'll go back in. But I mean, on a 2-week Alaskan, that is my number 5.
My
Number
in-laws
4,
and parents have both done that.
have they? Yeah, I just want to.
And
I
they
just
love it.
literally-
They
Yeah,
love
absolutely. Number 4, take a 1-month trip. Yep, 30 days to Italy. I want to see every
it. We
ounce
have one of the same.
Oh, okay. I need,
But mine
and
will be
want-
different from yours. So.
I need and want to go to Italy, and I want to do it
Yes.
for 30 days. I'm not going to go take that flight for a week. No
way.
30-day trip to
Mhm.
Italy. I want to see every bit of it. I want to drink
Absolutely.
everything I can, and I want to eat everything I can
Mhm.
while there in Italy. So that's number 4. Number 3, play around to golf at Augusta International Golf Course.
I knew that was going to be on yours. I thought that would be number 1, my friend. I really did.
It almost is, but play around at Augusta. I just want, I don't know who I need to know, but it's nobody I currently know that can get me to play around. So I need new friends, is what I'm saying.
Well, or just get different friends that
Or get different friends.
have
I
money.
I need to play around at Augusta. My number 2, have a 3-hour interview with President Donald J. Trump.
That would be good. Yeah. that'd be
Jim,
good.
that
one.
would be the absolute.
one.
And I put 3 hours because that's the goal. But if he gives us 15 minutes, I'll take it.
If he just gives us 2 minutes to say, "Hey guys, how you doing? I'm fine."
Yeah. Just want to say you guys are doing a great job. Love your show. But that's all I care about. Yeah. But really, that would be the, as far as podcasting goes and what we do, that's the goal. That's the number 1 goal. But my number 1 bucket list, believe it or not, is I want to purchase an absolutely ballin' family compound. I want something like what's in the background. I want a massive property. I want multiple houses. I want my whole family living on the same property, and it just compound us in. We could have a billion dogs. We could have, you name it. I want a ballin' family compound. That's doable.
Would
and
I be
someday
invited?
It will. Huh?
Would I be invited to this?
You would need a code and a password, and probably
All I'm asking.
some sort of. You'd probably need some sort of figure in an escrow account. But yes, then you could go to our family compound. But it will be limited.
That's good. I like
yeah.
that. That's good.
So that's my top 5 bucket list. I'm going to remove myself. We could play. Who gave us theirs? Buckeye, as she always does.
M's dad.
Oh,
Party in
M's dad.
Nashville for a week.
Yep.
Skydiving.
I just
Not for me. I'm
not for
scared of
me.
heights. Forget
Yep.
it.
Deep sea fishing in the Gulf of America. That can be arranged, M's dad.
I'm not a big
Let me know.
fisherman. Yeah.
Yep.
Ride
Ride along in a fighter jet and experience 0G. That's good. I had asked.
You and I are completely different.
Jim, I might not be in a fighter jet, but I might be in a flight simulator in the Air Force. Where I've asked my buddy, and he's going to see if he can get me in a flight simulator. So I might be able to do that. But
Great gear. One day in the Oval Office with Trump.
That's where I would conduct my 3-hour interview.
And here's also Rich and you and I at Augusta.
At Augusta would be absolutely
15 minutes, Rich, and that's it.
Yeah. They'd kick us out.
Kick us out. Taking the seafood salad isn't what you expect.
No, I probably agree. So here it is. I grew up on the closest thing to a family compound without it actually being one. It's not all it's crap.
Well, you gotta like your family.
Yeah, you don't understand. No, it is everything for us that it's cracked up to be. Yeah, you probably do gotta like her. I mean, we did have a discussion about Waco. It wasn't that kind of compound, was it?
Well, that's what I'm thinking, Dale. You're gonna be wearing this robe, standing in front of everyone.
Welcoming my people.
And
No,
when you offer me Kool-Aid, I ain't drinking it.
it'll be bourbon. You'll drink it.
Oh, no, well,
So,
what a way to go.
what a way to go. That's my top five.
That's
Thank you,
very good
everybody,
top
for
five, Bill.
indulging
Very good
me.
top
I
five.
appreciate it.
right.
Jim.
My top 5 bucket list.
Yes, sir.
I want to write a novel.
Okay.
I have,
writing. I could
and I
write.
have a story in mind already.
You
It's
do.
just, I don't. Yeah, it's just, when you read the books and they describe, when you go, when they walk into a church, they describe everything.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not that descriptive, but I got to learn to be descriptive. But I got a
GPT is.
great storyline. I'm not saying it,
Yeah.
but I've got a great storyline, a great story, and
Oh no, then
I'm
write
thinking.
it. Then you do
I'm
it.
thinking. I'm thinking about it.
You
Yep.
should do it. Does it have to do with 2 podcasters who go run around the nation solving the world's mysteries?
No.
Or is it? That'd be a great story.
But that would be a great story. That would be a
Storyline.
great story.
It would
Because
be.
Nathan Lane would play me and Brad Pitt would play you, right? That would...
Well, not anymore. I mean, Brad Pitt's a little old now. So,
All right.
Mhm.
Number 4, travel to
there
Italy.
you go. Okay.
I
I like that.
I am a history guy.
Yeah, you
Okay.
are. That's a
I
good
am
one.
a huge history guy. My trip would be to Italy to go everywhere, right?
Mhm.
But there is a tour that the Vatican allows. It's
Yeah.
called the Angels and Demons Tour. I'm a huge Dan Brown fan.
Yep. So
I've
Dante's
read his
Inferno.
books, movies, and I'm telling you, that is
That would be
ultimate
cool.
bucket list. And
That
my
would be
wife
cool.
does want to go to Italy as well, so maybe that will be something is doable.
I hope so. Yep. That's
Now
cool.
this one's a little. It's going to be a little different in some instances. I would love to visit all the 7 wonders of the world.
Agreed.
Side note, folks,
Mhm.
I've
You've been to
visited
one.
2.
Oh, 2.
I have.
Okay,
seen
so
the
you've
Great
been to
Wall
the
of
Great
China.
Wall of China. Have you been to the Taj Mahal?
I have been to the Taj Mahal.
Well,
So
so
I
that-
have.
those are 2 hard ones to get
I
to.
know those are. You would think those are the 2 hardest ones, but when I go to Italy, the Colosseum is there, so that's one of them. But the Petra in Jordan,
Yeah.
I would love to go see that. The Chichen Itzu, which is a Mayan,
Mhm.
or I think it's Mayan. I think it's not it's Mayan.
Probably got to know
and
what
then-
they are before you go.
Well, I will. But and then of course Christ the Redeemer in Brazil, only
Yeah.
because I'll be in Brazil.
Yeah.
And
Go
then
during
Machu
Carnival.
Picchu in Peru. I mean,
Yeah.
these are the 7 wonders of the world, and
You could do
seeing
that.
2 of them.
Yeah.
Seeing 2 of them, which, like you're right, Dale, those are the 2 hardest ones on
They seem
this
to be the
list.
hardest ones.
But right now, Mexico doesn't seem all that safe. But
No.
so,
No, I wouldn't.
but
like,
I would
maybe.
love to see all the 7 wonders of the world. I've
Yeah.
got 5 more to go.
Real
So.
quick, before you start, I know we don't
Mhm.
play comments, but Grit Gear has a name for your book. What's the title? How Jim Doesn't Let Me Talk.
Wow.
I hate Jim. Anyway, sorry to interrupt your list. That's a
Did
great list.
Buckeye
That's
put
a
her
great
top
list.
5 up here?
Did she?
Somebody said we missed her top 5. I didn't
We
see
did?
it.
Buckeyes?
Do you see it? I don't see it.
Hempstead. I thought she put it on right when we started, but I might have missed it. That's why I
it could
thought
be
she.
up. That might be. Let me go up to the top. Sorry.
No. I don't see it.
Buckeye, if you're
If you're listening, still,
listen,
And,
can you put it up again?
yeah, we don't say it. It didn't pop up for us. None of us are saying it. I mean, maybe people in the.
Yeah, obviously they are, because somebody's just said we were missing.
We missed it?
Yeah. If you could put it
Oh.
back up, because I'm not.
Yeah, put
seeing
it back up, please. Yeah, of course we'll play it. Yeah, I mean, we always do. Jim, go. Let her.
My number 2.
Afterwards. Mhm.
My number 2. Reds fantasy camp.
You know, I was going to put the Indians one, but they're not the Indians. But they are. I agree.
the if anybody who doesn't know what this is, okay, this is the Major League Baseball teams have these fantasy camps during spring training that you come down for a week. You don't get a practice with the team, but you get a practice with other people that are there to pay. And the key thing, you're wearing uniforms. You get to keep the uniforms, your name's on the back. And so Dale and I have talked that maybe in a couple of years, if we're still doing the podcast, that maybe we would do.
Why wouldn't we?
A podcast from Arizona at Goodyear, because
Goodyear,
our
Arizona.
favorite teams, the Indians and the Reds, play at Goodyear. Same ballpark.
Share the ballpark. Yep.
But I would love to do this fantasy camp. I truly would. It would be oh my God, it would be a dream.
It would be. It would
now,
be.
This
Buckeye
last
put
one,
a list up, so when you're done, we'll put it up.
This last one, everyone's going to say, why the hell haven't you got here? And I'll explain. Okay. I would love to visit Cooperstown, which is the home of the Baseball Hall of Fame. I have never been there. It is
literally probably driven past it 400 times.
Hold on. Because I want to go when Pete Rose is in. That has always been my whole thing. Okay. Yeah. I could have been all along. Johnny Bench is in, deserves it. Joe Morgan, but not all my guys are in yet. So, and I do believe Pete Rose is going in next year. I believe he's going to go.
I believe he will now that he's dead. Of course.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's going to do it when he's dead. So, but folks, Dale knows this. He and I are huge baseball fans, but I am a baseball fan. One of my favorite players is Ted Williams.
Yeah.
Read books about him, watched it. And when you sit there and it's just anyway, the history of the game, the love and the beauty that this game is. I know people out there, well, it's boring. It's whatever. That's your right to feel that way.
Yeah.
But man, it's but that's my number one. I would love, and I know Cooperstown. It's like, come on, that I should be able to be there, right? But it's just there's
a reason why you haven't. So your goal really is to get Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. That's your bucket list goal.
That's the bucket list goal.
The bucket list. Okay, here's Buckeyes. Own a Dodge Midnight Express.
Own a cabin at Blue Ridge Mountain. Oh, that would be cool. Visit Malta.
Yep.
Box seats at
the Columbus Blue Jackets games for life.
Attend Sturgis Rally. Ooh, yeah.
That is a good one. Literally Wayne Black, who was on the other day, goes to Sturgis every single year.
I'm just saying,
maybe hitch a ride with him.
I'm just saying you and I would get beat up. I just have a feeling.
We'd be doing live podcasts from there. They love us. Oh, here's Aikens. Traveled to all 50 states.
Ooh, play around in Scotland.
That's I know. I had
too much wind.
I had a tough time between St. Andrews and Augusta. Which one?
My slice and a win doesn't work well.
I can go to Scotland and actually play St. Andrews. That's without knowing, the king of Morocco or something. I can't at Augusta. I don't know. I can't get on. So
tour Edinburgh Castle. Great. Aiken, I can tell you, my wife loves castles. Anywhere we go. If there's a castle, she'll be there. So that's why I can get her to the places I need to get her. See a Stanley Cup playoff game in person.
Would be amazing. Okay. Yep. And
God willing, spoil my grandkids one day. Awesome.
Yeah, me too. God willing, I have grandkids.
Yeah, eventually.
Hopefully I will.
I hope I remember who they are when I'm.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, they remember
Josh,
us.
If you're listening, get going.
You know what's weird? I heard that about, and it's really the sad state of affairs about remembering people. You know who your mother and father are, who your grandfather and grandmother are. You might even know your great grandmother and grandfather, but to know your great there's literally like within 2-3 generations, nobody remembers anybody beyond that, and that's just, it sucks when you think about it,
I was lucky enough to meet my great grandmother. No, my great grandmother. Excuse me. My great.
Yeah, I was going to say great. Holy smokes!
I was lucky enough to meet my great grandmother.
How old are you, or how young you're?
That was really cool. But remember, our parents and their parents got married a lot younger.
They did,
and then they had children. They started having children there, and so that's different. So it's harder to do that today.
It's hard to do that nowadays. Jim, couple show notes before we go. Thank you everybody for sharing your bucket list. I hope you enjoyed that. I really had fun doing that one because it really does make it.
And you and I have
for everybody, and
we have 2 choices for next week.
Monday.
We need to decide. We can do one Monday, the other Tuesday if you want to, but we'll
Tuesday. What's Tuesday?
I mean Wednesday.
Has anybody got a show Tuesday? Okay.
But Wednesday, I will not be on the show
next Wednesday. I know that. So let's do. Which one do you want to do Monday?
Well, let me ask you, do you want to do the players not in the Hall of Fame baseball, or do you want to do cartoons?
Oh,
top 5 cartoons or top 5 Major League Baseball players not in the Hall of Fame that should be.
Oh my God. That's a good list too. I want to do cartoons. Let's do it.
Well, then you can't do the Hall of Fame thing then on Wednesday because
me and Rich,
or I could send it to you and you could do it. I can send it to you and you guys can do it.
Whatever.
I can do that.
Yeah. No, we'll wait on the baseball one for you. We and Rich will do a different one. But how about the let's do cartoons. Uh-oh,
Top
Buckeyes
five.
baseball.
Oh, okay. Oh, Buckeyes.
Cartoons.
I do love
Won't you be a
cartoons.
child on Monday?
I mean, go on. I mean, individuals like Aiken don't know our cartoons that we grew up with, probably.
That's true. No, I'm gonna do cartoons. Let's do cartoons. We'll save baseball Hall of Fame for when.
Okay.
Maybe first show in April when opening season is.
Yeah.
Really, Buckeye can live with cartoons. Thank you, but fine. I appreciate it. So, top 5 cartoons on Monday. So, guys, really tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, we're gonna have Steve Cleverly from the Warrior Shield Foundation and Julie Oligschlaeger. Jim, can you say her name for me?
You say it as well as I do.
Oh my gosh, why do I struggle with it? It's not hard. It is literally not hard. Oligschlaeger. She will be on the show tonight for our second Warrior Shield
your name and my
at
name
6 p.m. Eastern, folks. So tune in for that.
Not easy either. So
I know they aren't. I actually say her name better. I do my own last name. Yep, top 5 cartoons Monday. Put that up there. That's what's going to happen.
Yep.
So tonight we have that. Friday, Jim. So we were supposed to have Representative Tim Burchett on.
I don't know if we should say this.
10 a.m. Eastern for a special show. He has a scheduling conflict and they had to push it out. So it will be 4:30 Eastern Friday, currently, unless something's changed in the last half hour, that he will be on the show. 4:30 Eastern on Friday. We'll have a special episode. We're no top 5. We're just going to have Representative Tim Burchett on.
Just for reference, folks, it's probably going to be on our Rumble premium channel only.
Yeah,
so if you listen to us on X, we'll let everybody know.
Because there's some way to get all that, share it and all that. But
but it'll probably be on a Rumble premium channel.
Yep. So what is this?
Network.
Looney Tunes were made for adults.
See, because
Jim, I grew up with Looney Tunes.
Yeah. Sorry, Aiken. I'm glad you did, but you seem a lot younger than us. Is all I'm saying. Like my son,
I will be in Tennessee all next week. I'll send you my list. Oh, enjoy a little vacation. I'm assuming so. Enjoy.
Tennessee
the weather's good. Safe travels. Yeah, Tennessee's great.
Tennessee.
Great. And Representative Tim Burchett from Tennessee will be on Friday. So we will.
Would you stop? Hopefully.
Listen,
people are thinking we're just making. Hey,
you know what?
Next Wednesday, President Trump is going to be.
When you're not here.
Oh, I'll be here. If he's
you can do it, Jim. It's the only day you can do it.
I'll be here.
Yeah. Oh, no way.
Oh,
is this
really?
True?
Is that
so
true?
Buckeye? Yes, and you'll be visiting Tarna. So that's super cool. Well, you both can hop on real quick, can't you?
I mean, that is a 2 awesome individuals right there.
Yeah, that is. Can't wait. Actually, pictures, put them on X. That is absolutely amazing. So good. I'm glad you guys are hooking up. That's phenomenal. Folks, listen, again, Wednesday, this evening, 6 p.m. Eastern, Warrior Shield special. And then that's at 6 p.m. Eastern. We will be back. I need you all to join in and share. We're going to post it. You'll see it'll be posted on Rumble and all the other stuff, but we'll be going live at 6 p.m. Eastern for that. We cannot wait. Dr. Tania Glenn, thank you again for coming on the show. Amazing human being. Learned a ton. Can't wait to have her back. You can find her at TaniaGlenn.com. And that's where you can find all her books. You can find her help. You can find her videos on YouTube. Just go to Tania, Tania, Glenn, GLENN.com and find her there. Please follow us on our X page at 2 Guys 1 Coup. Follow the network at the Patriots Pray on X and at the Patriots Prayer on Rumble. Please go like, follow, and share on there as well. Folks, I swear I am done talking for the day. This has been a long day of me talking. Jim, you got anything else to say before we say goodbye?
God bless everyone, and
see you tonight.
Oh, see you tonight.
Yeah,
see you tonight,
everybody. So
remember,
stay tuned.
Rumble Premium.
Talk to you soon. Bye.